Good afternoon, Braves fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the Black and Gold Report, a program all about UNCP athletics. I'm Kevin Freeman, and today on the show we'll be joined by head football coach Pete Shinnick, and on the second half of the program we'll be talking to head women's soccer coach Lars Anderson. Coach, we're joined by Coach Shinnick as usual. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You had a quality 58-38 shootout against a pretty feisty Tusculum team this last weekend. Give us your overall impressions of this game.
Well, I'm really happy with how we started. I really challenged the team all week long to start the way you finished the Catawba game. And they came out and did that, and we got up 20-0. And then I think we went into kind of the problem that we've been having most of the year of just kind of playing down to our opponent or playing with our opponent or relaxing a little bit. And really, if you look at the whole game, I mean, they matched us point for point there, and we kept the 20-point lead throughout the most of the game. Happy, though, that our guys just continued to find a way, continued to work through it, and at the end of the game, we'll take a 20-point victory.
Right, it was 20-0, then they scored, you scored, they scored, you scored, and it pretty much did that for the entire game. This is a game where a number of players on the team and the team overall had you set a lot of records in this game. Most points scored in a game, total yards of offense in a game, most yards passing in the game, most carries in a game. Comment on the team's offensive prowess in this game. You guys were just able to run up and down the field. Why was the offense so good?
Well, our offense, I think, for most part of the season has been playing at a pretty good clip. And, we've got a philosophy that we're going to take what the defense gives us. And sometimes it takes us a little time to work through that, but they were very intent on stopping the run. And they did that a little bit, and then once they were out of position, I think you saw a long run out of Elliott. You saw a couple of long runs out of Travis. Not 50-yarders out of Travis, but he had a couple 25, couple 30-yard rushes there to kind of balance things out. And then they said they were going to play our wide receivers, really tight. And when you do that, we've got some guys that can run, and Luke found them. So it was fun to watch.
300 yards rushing, 300 yards passing. That's probably perfect from a coach's perspective, isn't it?
Well, it's neat because we've tried to be balanced in our total yardage. I think we were averaging about 80 plays, and I think we're about close to 40 to 45 rushes and 30 to 35 passes. So, but our yardage is pretty similar, and we're shooting for that.
There were some unbelievable plays on offense in this game by both teams. 2 tip balls caught for very long gains by the Pioneers, and a couple of spectacular catches by your wide receiver core, Joe Burnett, Donald Britt. Do you write some of these catches off as just being lucky, being in the right place at the right time, or is there some real skill involved in maintaining your concentration on a tip ball or when you're in double coverage? Talk about kind of what goes on in the minds of a wide receiver.
Well, for our wideouts, I think you look at those plays, we practice a lot of them going up and getting the ball. And Coach Jamie Deese does a great job of, talking them through that process and then working them through it. And we say we've got more experience jumping for a ball than a DB does, so we should get them. On the Tusculum end, they've got some really athletic guys. And, I mean, you could see it out there when they got in space. And, a couple of those balls weren't even thrown to some of those guys, and they got tipped, and, they just happened to be there. But I credit them because they've got a very good skill set in their wide receivers and running backs.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. This is kind of a personal question. What would you prefer? Would you prefer a shootout like we've become accustomed to this season, or would you prefer kind of a low-scoring struggle dominated by 2 strong defenses?
What I prefer is our offense to score a lot of points and our defense to not give up that many. I think when you get into a defensive game and you know that it's going to be tight, you probably feel a little more comfortable than, okay, we got to win this thing 70-65. Those are the ones that I think are a little scarier.
Yeah, we had the classic three yards in a cloud of dust kind of game that goes on and on. Well, Tusculum had to rely on their third-string quarterback for most of the game, Torrey Slavin. He had a monster game. He impressed all of us in the press box with his ability to scramble, with his ability to run, to throw on the run, with his ability to get out of difficult situations. Did you anticipate him playing in this game at all? I mean, and I assume he might be their guy from now on, assuming now that their starter's been injured.
He had played in the previous games. I mean, once Bo, their All-American quarterback, was hurt, they've played both their quarterbacks, and he had played and really been probably the more productive of the two, but he probably doesn't have the experience, or he didn't, I think he does now, didn't have the experience that they were looking for. And after the third series, they went with him, and he did a great job managing the game. And again, they have some very talented skill players that, he got the ball to them in space and gave them an opportunity to move around.
And this has been a real common occurrence here in the games that you played, and maybe this speaks a lot for how Division II is getting better and better. I mean, there's so many athletic players on these teams who are quick, who have the skills. It's a lot. It makes watching D2 football a lot of fun to watch for sure.
A lot of good football players, and I think you look across the country and you look at the talent level that you're going to see, very comparable to probably the FCS level. And so, I mean, every week it's been a challenge for us. I know that much.
All right, Coach, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Coach Shinnick about the upcoming game against Charleston.